Believe we are live. Trying to go live here on all platforms. Hello. Hello, people of LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, IG. How's it going? Hello. Waiting for people to come in and tune in to a fun topic today. Today I'm going to be going over a very sensitive topic. There's a lot of confusion around it. I made a post recently on Facebook where I just had an open-ended poll about weights versus cardio when it comes to fat loss. So if you're tuning in with me today, drop a comment. Let me know that you're tuning in. Gonna wait a little bit before everything is going live everywhere before I begin and have some fun diving into this topic. Let's see here. Let me know you're tuning in. Say hello. Say hello if you are with me here. All right. So I'm going to jump straight into this fun topic between cardio versus weights. I'm going to try to keep this under 15 minutes. I can honestly teach a whole masterclass around this one singular topic because it is that important for a number of reasons. But before we dive in, I just want to kind of create an agenda for what I'm going to be covering with you here today. Number one, I just want to dive a little bit into who I am and what my background is around cardio, strength training, resistance training, and things like that. Then I'm going to actually share a study that brilliantly goes over and explains the difference between resistance training and cardio and its effects on calorie burn and fat loss. And then I just want to kind of share a little bit of my own personal experience when it comes to my experience with fat loss, incorporating both cardio and resistance training, as well as the results of the clients that I've worked with for the past decade. So, all that being said, welcome. If this is your first time tuning in and seeing me, my name is Walt Chambers. I'm the founder, lead designer, and what we call is our master wizard at Infinite, where we specialize in transforming the lives of casuals and gaming professionals in the gaming industry. We simply intertwine the best parts of fantasy role-playing games into fitness to make a fun and engaging experience that's scientifically backed and data-driven. And we have been around for over 2 years now, transforming lives and impacting lives. And I'm excited to be here today to talk a little bit about cardio versus weights. So a little bit about my background and experience around the topic. I started off performing high intensity interval training around 2004, 2005. That's when I was really incorporating it into my day-to-day or week-to-week fitness as a starting point and getting into all the fitness activities that are available out there. I then played football in high school, so I got into strength and conditioning for the first time, being able to perform strength movements and explosive power movements. I then got certified under the National Strength and Conditioning Association as a certified personal trainer, where over the past decade I've been teaching strength and conditioning to all of my clients. Later on, I expanded my knowledge and got deeper into conditioning as I started to work with more conditioning athletes, and eventually got certified by Dr. Joel Jamieson in conditioning. And my strength background also enhanced further working with Dr. John Russin and the Pain Free Performance Specialist organization to focus on functional strength training, which completely changed how I taught strength training and also performed strength training for performance, longevity, and a pain free lifestyle. So that's just a brief overview of my personal background when it comes to strength and conditioning type training. And I want to start off first and preface this. When it comes to strength training and cardio, the number one thing that I want you to take away from this is that when it comes to health and fitness, one of the hardest things to do is not only get into it, but also keep it going for the rest of your life. And motivation typically goes down. Discipline is hard to establish when it comes to health, fitness, and even nutrition. And I just want to say, whatever style of training that you enjoy the most, don't ever stop doing it. Keep doing what you enjoy the most. If you enjoy doing cardio, keep doing cardio. If you enjoy doing strength training, keep doing it. If you enjoy doing high intensity interval training, cycling, rowing, running, stretching, yoga, meditation, whatever that is, whatever modality that you enjoy the most, stick to it. Okay? Stick to it, because is what's going to keep you focused on the fitness game, so that you can play the infinite game of fitness and not the finite one where you just go from point A to point B, you lose motivation, you lose results, and you're back to square one over and over and over again. So always do what you enjoy the most first. But today we're going to go into what is going to have a more powerful impact when it comes to fat loss from a short-term perspective and a long-term perspective. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen here. I'm going to walk you through a study that I found that was just really, really articulate, and it's a great way to kind of explain things. Jasper, you said play the long game for long-term lasting results. 100% agree. It's a game changer when you start to approach things from more of a long-term perspective. But I'm going to share my screen here. Present. Okay. So this is a study that I found conducted at the University of New Mexico that basically focused on the effects of resistance training on EPOC. Now you might be wondering, what is EPOC? Well, it is an acronym for excess post-oxygen consumption. And I'll explain a little bit more about what that means and how that kind of connects to which is going to be more beneficial for fat loss in a moment. But I do want to kind of go over a few things that I highlighted here. I'm not going to be going over the whole study. I could, again, go over this study for a long period of time. So I'm just going to share with you one of the most important points that I think they explained so well in the introduction here. First and foremost, inactive adults experience 3 to 8% loss of muscle mass per decade, with a reduction of metabolic rate and increases in fat accumulation. Why is this important, and what does this mean? Well, basically, I explained this in a podcast that I recently did on a PlayStation podcast called Sacred Symbols, where in gaming terms, there's something called a debuff, which is basically a negative stat that is basically reducing your overall character stats in a game. And how that connects to fitness in the real world is simply, as we get older, we are losing muscle. Our bodies are breaking down. So this is very important when we kind of weigh, okay, which is going to be more beneficial when it comes to fat loss from a long-term perspective, because from a long-term perspective, if we're losing 3 to 8% muscle mass per decade over time, that's going to have a massive impact on how many calories that you can burn and how much fat that you can also lose as well, because there is also a direct connection between increases in fat accumulation over time as well. So basically, people are losing muscle and gaining body fat over time, which is terrible. We want to be doing the opposite. And part of the reason why is that 23.2% adults 18 years and older are meeting physical activity guidelines for aerobic and muscle strengthening activity. Only 23%. There's a reason why we have a 40%, nearly a 40% obesity rate right now. Again, people are losing muscle and gaining fat at a rapid rate at 18 years old and beyond. Something else I want to mention as well is aerobic exercise can improve lung function. So you might be wondering, why do we want to consider cardio? Well, we have our muscular system and we have our cardiovascular system. So aerobic exercise trains primarily the cardiovascular system. So when we improve lung function, we can breathe better. We can breathe more efficiently. And of course, it allows for greater oxygen consumption and better gas exchange, which can help with exercise and activities of daily living. So basically, if you increase and improve your lung function, you're going to be able to perform daily activities better without it winding you. And you'll be able to perform exercises way more efficiently as well. Beyond that, let's continue diving further. Now, what is excess post-oxygen consumption, or what we call is the afterburn? Well, put it simply, it's the amount of oxygen the body consumes following an exercise session that is greater than the amount of oxygen the body was consuming before exercise. And the primary reason your body does that is through something called homeostasis. And basically what it is during exercise we bring the body out of that. And it's basically your body trying to maintain its current state. It doesn't like change. It doesn't like randomness. It just wants to be consistent and the same, because it takes the least amount of work and the least amount of energy, right? And basically by increasing your heart rate, increasing blood pressure, or accumulating what they call as local metabolites around the skeletal muscle and elevate the oxygen consumption, basically EPOC is going to be able to basically increase the amount of calories that you're going to be burning, because your body's trying to get back to the state of homeostasis, which is the state of having that consistency. So there's so many benefits when it comes to exercise in general, just because of excess post-oxygen consumption. So if you're wondering, like, is this going to be important for me, whether or not I'm doing cardio or resistance training? Yes. We want to bring our body into that state of discomfort so that your body can adapt and grow stronger. Otherwise, what can happen is you can continue to lose muscle and increase the amount of body fat that you gain over time. And think of this as something that is predetermined. It's going to happen. So the best thing that we can do is take action and prevent that from happening. Following me so far? If you're on the same page as me, let me know in the comments. Let me know before we continue. Other important information to consider when weighing out both options is also the effects of resistance training. So resistance training is not only good for muscular adaptations, but it is beginning to prove similar benefit in increasing caloric expenditure and increasing oxygen consumption after exercise, what we just talked about, EPOC. Now, the big thing, the big quote unquote selling point when it comes to cardio is the increased calorie burn. And basically, what this is saying is that there's growing research and more evidence supporting the fact that when you perform resistance training, you can actually increase the amount of calorie expenditure or calorie burn almost equivalently to cardiovascular exercise, and in some cases even more, depending on the type of resistance training that you're performing. And this is very, very huge for a couple reasons. Number one, if you can burn the same, if not more, calories performing resistance training compared to cardio, that means you're going to be getting so many more benefits instead of supplementing that with cardio instead. So if you had to make that choice between cardio and resistance training, you now have the opportunity to be like, well, if I know I'm going to be losing approximately 3 to 8% of my muscle mass every decade, perhaps I'm going to opt for the activity like resistance training or weight training instead of cardio, so that I can not only build muscle but also lose body fat. And this is a big game changer for a lot of people, because a lot of people think that in order to lose body weight and body fat, you have to increase the amount of intensity via cardiovascular training. So performing high intensity interval training. And this data is supporting that resistance training is able to burn as much calories, if not more, than cardiovascular training. And this is very, very important to consider when you are making that decision or trying to follow a training program that either overemphasizes one or the other, right? Which is going to be better for you when it comes to getting to your fat loss goals, while also directly or even indirectly improving other aspects of your life. That is the big question here. And hopefully you could kind of see where this is kind of going here. So other than that, some of the data based on this study showed that there are increases to resting metabolic rate, which is basically the amount of calories that your body is burning at rest, basically doing nothing. And also there are obvious increases to muscle mass to aid in the weight loss process by incorporating resistance training. So how does that work, right? How do you aid in the weight loss process by increasing muscle mass? Well, by increasing your muscle mass, it takes energy for your body to not just develop and build new muscle, but also to maintain it. And the more muscle that you have, the more calories that you're going to be burning, which is the increase in your metabolic rate. So if you want to have a higher metabolic rate, build more muscle. That's simple. You want to improve your fat loss progress, build more muscle, right? Your body's going to burn more calories by having more muscle. And that's why I wanted to also highlight hypertrophy training as well, which is the process increasing the amount of muscle and size that you have. And lastly, there's a greater excess post-oxygen consumption response when it comes to incorporating resistance training as well. So I just wanted to highlight just a few things of this study, and also mention one line as well. Typically, when people think of lifting weights, they only think of the amount of muscle and strength gained that occurs, and not the benefit it has on the energy expenditure and their resting metabolic rate, which I just went over. So it's not just about aesthetics, right? A lot of people lift weights just for the aesthetics. You can lift weights too to aid in the overall fat loss process, to aid in your overall metabolic rate and how much calories that you're burning and how much energy that you're expending, which has a profound impact as far as your body fat and your body composition as well. So wanted to highlight this study to kind of emphasize that cardio and weights are very, very similar when it comes to the amount of calories that they burn. Now, one thing I also want to highlight is just my personal experience. I just want to show you just some examples and also leave off with my recommendation as far as what you should be incorporating in your training program for fat loss. So again, I'm going to share my screen here. I'm going to start off by sharing this page. So if you haven't seen this page, feel free to head over to infiniterpg.com, where you can head over into our transformations and get a deeper dive into the warriors that we've worked with that have completely transformed with our training, nutrition, and mindset systems that we incorporated with gamification. And I just want to highlight, I'm not going to go into deeper into their stories or anything like that. I just want to highlight just what each person incorporated to achieve some of these results. And there might be a pattern of behavior. Okay? So, myself, you can see in the middle, this is a cut that I did, I believe, last year, or a year and a half ago now. And this was basically, as you can see on the left, I have muscle on the left. I went on to a bulking phase and I gained some excess body fat in that process. But as you can see, going into the right here, I did a cut and I was able to maintain majority of that muscle mass, and I was able to accomplish this with the combination of resistance training and cardio. Again, resistance training and cardio. To the left, we have May over here. She was able to accomplish a 30 to 40 plus pound weight loss. Again, her focus was weight loss, and she accomplished this with resistance training and cardio. Jasper, preparing for his contest prep. If you're still with me, Jasper. Resistance training and cardio. Alex, resistance training and cardio. Nilesh, resistance training and cardio. See the pattern of behavior here? Now you might be wondering, cool, why both, right? There's benefits to having both. Cardio can enhance the fat loss efforts by burning more calories and also improving just overall health and longevity by training your cardiovascular system, which again, I went over some of that in that study. Plus, you're also getting the benefits of resistance training by building muscle or just maintaining muscle. Because the big thing is, remember, naturally we are losing muscle mass. Every year we're getting older. And when you are trying to go down that path of losing body fat, you have to be in what we call as a calorie deficit. And when your body is in a deficit, it is basically breaking down what's in your body and using it as energy. And we don't only have fat inside of our body, right? We also have muscle. So the longer that you are in this fat loss phase or trying to lose body fat, you are risking your muscle. So if you only do cardio, then you are guaranteeing that you are going to lose a significant amount of muscle. And building muscle is much more difficult than losing body fat. It may be hard to wrap your head around, especially if you are, overweight. But that is the truth. Building muscle is much, much more difficult. And the last thing that you want to do is lose body weight and body fat and get to the point where you kind of have that skinny fat look, which is basically the look where there's no muscle tone and basically you burnt and no longer have muscle. Because you basically, you can not no longer have muscle, but you basically lost a significant amount of muscle mass trying to burn body fat. And that's the last thing that you want to do. And that's why each one of these people incorporated resistance training and cardio. Again, cardio to aid in the fat loss process to improve other health markers, as well as resistance training to build a new muscle and maintain muscle during a fat loss phase. So I really wanted to kind of show you that example of what we do at Infinite as far as what we recommend for all the warriors that we work with, which is having a more holistic view of training, nutrition, as well as mindset. And that's the big difference between our training programs and other people's training programs, is sometimes other people's training programs are very, very narrowly focused. So for example, there's training programs out there that only incorporate resistance training. There's training programs out there that only incorporate cardio. And we believe that there has to be a priority. And from what we found and from my experience with over a decade of helping people in strength conditioning, fat loss, muscle building, and sports performance, and much, much more, is that resistance training should be performed a minimum of 3 times per week. And if you're performing cardio for longer than that, or you're overemphasizing it, then you are almost trading the negative effects of prioritizing cardio over resistance training, which is increased muscle loss, which is a deeper calorie deficit that may or may not be necessary, and also a longer fat loss phase, by the way, because you're not burning as much calories as you could by also incorporating resistance training and building muscle. So I hope all that makes sense, and feel free to watch the replay if you are tuning in live. I'll be posting the replay on the socials, but I hope you had a good breakdown on the positive and negative effects of resistance training and cardio when it comes to how you approach your training. And if you are trying to tackle a New Year's resolution this year and you need a training program, nutrition program, mental performance program, as well as expert support and accountability, feel free to reach out to myself, send me a DM, go to infiniterpg.com. That's INFITNITERPG.com. And we will help you come up with a plan that's personalized for you, that incorporates the type of training that you enjoy while also challenging you so that your body can adapt and you can achieve the results that you're looking for. Again, this is an open invitation for any casual or industry professional in the gaming industry. Feel free to reach out. We're here to support you, and we would love to see you accomplish your health and fitness goals and ultimately your fat loss goals as well. Again, my name is Walter Chambers. I'm the founder, lead designer, and master wizard at Infinite. By your side as your guide on your infinite adventure. And if you enjoy this, feel free to share this with someone else who is on the fence between incorporating resistance training or cardio. Feel free to share this insight, share this knowledge, so that we can all become better together. All right, everyone. Till next time. Happy Warrior Wednesday.